My name is Betsy Maudsley. I am the lead physiotherapist for Bristol City Women's Football. And I'm here with my athlete, staff member, our head sports scientist here, Molly, who's going to act as one of our athletes to demonstrate a different way that we might choose to tape an ankle with our footballers. So in this case, we're using Molly as one of our keepers, and they have sustained an ankle sprain, but we still want to make sure that they're going to be able to get the jumping technique and those creative positions that they're going to need to do in the net. So we want to keep their plantar flexion and dorsiflexion available to them while still giving them a nice stable ankle. So we use our wonderful Tiger Tape products. As you can tell my accent, I am Canadian, so I love my zinc oxide, so it is my go-to product of choice. If Molly was a larger athlete, I may choose to go with our tan tape because it's a little bit stiffer, but thankfully, as Molly's quite agile for us, we can go a little bit smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Molly to come down to the end of the table, have our nice comfy athlete, and we're going to get there and we're going to start thinking right away about how much range we want Molly to have. So we're going to say, okay, Molly, we want you to be able to get to here and allow this position, but we really want to protect her here to here. Okay. Now, I'm always going to use my pre-tape spray. We always tape our athletes after they've done their jumping and prep work. So if she's sweaty, I'm going to dry her off. Otherwise, she gets our lovely Tenso spray. Good. Awesome. Now, Molly's thankfully an athlete that I've worked with a bit, so I know I don't have to worry as much about blisters and pinch. Otherwise, we'd put our little heel and lace pad. I don't use under wrap because I want it to have as much contact with the skin as possible as Molly is sweating. So I'm going to start with my wonderful ankles here, and Molly, I'm going to get you to slide down a little. And Molly, I'm going to get you to stay bent up, not because I want that position for her, but because I want to see where I need to stop. If I'm in a game, I'm going to tape higher up, but in this case, I'm going to start a little lower down, coming around, creating my nice little chevrons. Good, good, awesome. Now, good, that feels okay, not too tight, awesome. And then from here, what I want to do is, even though we know our easy ankle tape rule at the base of the fifth, I want to try and walk Molly back as far as possible so that I can really protect this area rather than coming forward. So when I do my next anchor, I'm going to start really far in front, and this is where I'm going to say, hey Molly, can you relax your foot a little bit? Good, because we want to give her that freedom. Watching that we're not pulling under the arch and coming up and grabbing that chevron position again, okay? And so then before we go into anything, we want to make sure, hey Molly, can you bend and straighten there? Awesome, okay? And so now what we're going to do, because we're not trying to necessarily bias her one way or another, we're actually going to do our stirrups in a neutral plane, good, and we're intentionally overshooting just a little just to make sure that we can get that equal pull. Then I can always come back and just clean my strip up. If you're a little more skilled than me and can eyeball it, all the power to you, good. And then in here, same thing, my little strip, and we just want to watch that we're not getting a big pinch in there for her. And so same thing, I'm just going to try and close that joint in a nice neutral position for her. Good. And then down through that heel, okay? Now again, we're gonna say Molly's going out for a short training session, so we don't need to put tons of stirrups on, but longer you're aiming for, the more. So again, we're gonna say, hey Molly, can you wiggle that foot around? And we're just checking that we're not seeing any pinches in through her arch. And then what we're gonna do here, the basis of our tape job, we're gonna come up and we're gonna go down through that heel lock. So we're coming around, behind and over. And I'm gonna go nice and continuous here for her as I go along and back our other way. Good, into our position, and same thing, we're gonna lock around. Good, and just being mindful that her Achilles, for some of our athletes, we need to come up a little bit higher. Good. Beautiful. And then I always like to do kind of one closing piece in there. And now I'm gonna go, okay, Molly, can you bend and straighten? Good. And then what we want to see is that little bit of restriction side to side before we close our windows, okay? Now, if I say, ooh, hey, Molly still needs some more restriction, but we know she has tight boots, so we don't want to add any more. This is where I could also opt to take my heavier tape, go into here, and now we're going to add that custom V-lock system in there. Good. And we're going to grab her and just give that little pull. Good. And across. Oops, a little wrinkle there. That's a nice wrinkle for good luck. Good. And we'll check again and say, okay, Molly, side to side. Good. And now if we're just worried, we would just add and top that up on there into that piece. We can also add one more because Molly's going to be really difficult for us today. We'll go around and just bias that up a little higher for her. Okay, so just some add-on options if you find you need more. But I find for the most part, you can stop well before this piece. And then we'll say, okay, Molly, wiggle around. How do we feel?
Feels good.
Awesome. Always check our pieces from there. And then that athlete should be able to jump, plant, turn, but we have some protection through that heel. Beautiful. Good job.